What's up guys, ATCZ here, welcome back. Today we're going to do something different. We're going to take a look at the ban list and see a couple of cards that could come off the list from the banned section to being limited without an errata, because Konami is very reluctant on bringing back cards just because of how they used to be, and they do not try to apply them in the current stage of the meta, so they just decide to errata them just to be safe, but they end up ruining the cards and making them completely unplayable. So I'm going to show you 10 cards that, with today's standards, without any modifications of the ban list, that can come back exactly how they are. There are more cards, of course, and in certain scenarios, for example, if Needle Fiber gets banned, all those tuners that got banned for it could come back. If Zexal gets banned, we can get back Argent Chaos Force. But these 10 cards do not say any what ifs, and they can apply to this specific ban list, and they can come back being completely fine, just at one, not more than one, until we see exactly how these cards can fare in the meta, because there are potential scenarios that these cards could be broken. But in hindsight, these cards are not broken anymore. So without further ado, I present to you 10 cards that can come off the list just how they are. So the first card is Astrograph Sorcerer. I know Konami tries to support the new archetypes by bringing back cards, and there's a debate that Electromite might come back because of the new Metal Foe support. I don't see that happening because they gave them a new Link monster. If they didn't think that Electromite was powerful enough, they would not give them a Link monster, and they would just get it back from the ban list. But I don't think they're going to do that. While Astrograph Sorcerer is a good card because without Electromite, it's not as broken as it used to be, and when we did have Astrograph, it was at 3. We never saw how it went to 1 like it did in the OCG. So I think without Electromite, one Astrograph Sorcerer is a great addition for the Pendulum decks, especially for the Metal Foes deck, because they do have an inherent way of popping their own scales and their own cards, so you can use Astrograph very easily. The next card is again for the Pendulum theme, and that's Skalk Joker. Joker is not as powerful as Monkey Board. First of all, it's not a one-card scale, and it does use your normal summon. Joker just searches all your Magicians, it searches your Performable, and your Odd Eyes cards. Today, the best Pendulum decks being played is Endymion, and Endymion would not play Skalk Joker. The deck doesn't really... The only Magician card that Joker would be able to search is Time Gazer, and nobody wants to search that. They just want a special summon with Chronograph. So I don't think Joker would boost the current best Pendulum deck. It would give a boost to the other Pendulum decks, because after Electromite got banned, the only Pendulum deck that kind of survived was Endymion, because it did not really need Electromite to be played. But Joker is a good addition to the other Pendulum decks like Magician, Odd Eyes, and Performapal that are seeing zero play right now because they don't have Electromite. So I think these two cards, Astrograph and Joker, while at 1, they would not be anything superb, but they would just be a really great addition for those Pendulum players that got it very rough by the ban list just because Konami decided to just get rid of the Master Rule 4 completely by banning Electromite. Now, we can't talk about banned cards without talking about the Dragon Rulers, so I added one Dragon Ruler again. I think they will eventually give us back all 4 Dragon Rulers as one, but they will not do it at all at a time. So here's one of them. I am putting Redox in the list. Because Block Dragon is banned, Adamancipator is no longer tier 1, so Redox is not going to be busted because it doesn't have a busted deck to be played in. It's a Monster Reborn, but yeah, handed, we have a few Monster Reborn cards in the game right now. Adamancipator had 4 Monster Reborns, being Signs and Monster Reborn, but they were not playing either of them. Now they're forced to play some because the deck is weaker, but this deck is not going to do anything because of Redox. Redox has the lowest attack, so it's not something like a push card that you can use every single turn to be able to do a lot of damage, unlike Blaster, which would be a problem right now because of Infernoble Knights. They would be able to play that in the deck as a form of removal and as a form of a follow-up play that would give them more damage on the field. So that's why I think Redox is the healthiest Dragon Ruler to come off the list right now, based on the current meta. Tidal, there's not a good water deck right now. Mermails is still a very mediocre deck, but Tidal has the best secondary effect of the Dragon Rulers because it can foolish any monster. So I think that's really good. So they should be very cautious by bringing back Tidal, but I think Redox is perfectly fine to come off, and especially now that we try to make the deck, the game more interesting, because we have the same things going on in every single deck because of Needle Fiber, Link Ross, and Anaconda. So yep, give us back some cards so we can enjoy a better game. And the next card, I know it might seem a little bit contradictory. People still get flashbacks with this card because of how broken it used to be back in its day, but it's been like a long time since then. Just try to apply it in current standards and you'll see that the card is completely worthless right now. That's Yadagarasu. Yes, Yadagarasu can completely lock your opponent out of playing the game, but it needs a few conditions. First, you have to search it, you have to normal summon it, or you have to special summon it, and you have to get rid of your opponent's entire field and your opponent's entire hand to be able to land a direct attack with Yadagarasu. Chaos Emperor has been errated. The combo with Chaos Emperor is no longer viable, you cannot do that, so you have to make sure that your opponent has 0 cards in hand, which is probably if they use their entire hand for a combo, so you have to break their board and then land a direct attack with Yadagarasu to prevent them from coming back. Nowadays, if your opponent has 0 cards in hand, it does not matter if they draw a card. With a state of the game, all those break my boards, that deck, if you break your opponent's board and you establish your own board, one card is not going to do the trick. So making sure your opponent doesn't even draw that card is insult to injury. Yadagarasu is nowhere near as powerful as it used to be because we are not in a format where we grind it out like we did back then. We just establish our board. Can you break it? No, then you lose. That's pretty much how the meta is right now. I know it's not something very fun, but this is what it is. So Yadagarasu is a card that can come back very, very easily. And even if we switch to a control type meta with cards like, with traps like with Altergeist, Subterrors, and of course Dogmatica, Yadagarasu would not be able to do anything because it would never land an attack, let alone even touch the field. So yeah, I think it's time for this card to come back safely without worrying it being a problem because it's been like 17 years since it got banned. So yeah, it's not a problem anymore. And the last monster is an Xyz monster, which I have no idea why it's still banned. That's a Wind-Up Carriers and Mighty. Wind-Ups did get a Link monster, but still they didn't do anything. And with 1s and Mighty, you cannot do the Hunter combo to loop. You need 3s and Mighties to do that. And even if the deck finds a way to do the hand loop, it's still a 2 to 3 card combo with Shark Magician and Factory. It's not very consistent. Zen Mighty would give it a higher ceiling just to be able to get more monsters on the field. It's not an unhealthy deck anymore because we do have a lot of hand traps, we do have a lot of ways to stop them. Back then, whether you drew a Veiler or a Maxi and that was it. Now we have so many hand traps that pretty much all of them can stop the combo. Even the Didi Craw on Hunter while you just try to bring back with a Rat can stop the combo. So I don't think Zen Mighty is a broken card anymore, even if people find a way to abuse the hand loop because you get stopped very easily and you need a lot of specific cards in order to do it. So I think this card is really, really good because they decided to print support for windups. They didn't do anything, just give them a little bit more. So we might have a new rogue deck, a new rogue tender for the meta. This is what we need right now. If Konami doesn't want to ban Needle Fiber and doesn't want to change the format that much, then the best way is to support the worst decks to make them a little bit stronger so they might have a chance to compete. They still wouldn't, but they would have a better chance. Now let's go to the spells. The first one is Chicken Game. Chicken Game is a weird card because it got banned, not because it was seen playing in Monarchs to unbrick them, that was not the point, it was seeing in the Magical Explosion FTK. And with 3 Chicken Games, you can do that. But I'm saying just put it to 1. This card is a card that worse decks would play just to get some more consistency. They would play a Chicken Game and Terraforming, and it would also be a good set rotation target without having to play something like a Midbreaker. And this would give them some more draw power. Good decks do not need to play this card because they're already really consistent and really powerful, so they don't need the extra draw. And at 1, it's not a problem for FTKs because by playing 3, you are able to slam on top of the other and then use pseudo space to copy them, so you do get a lot of draw power. But still, this was only possible because of 3 Chicken Games. With 1, it's not possible. Yoshiji has had Chicken Game at 3 forever. It's not a problematic card, but I understand that Konami doesn't want to bring banned cards to 3 immediately because there could be some potential problems. So I'm just saying all of these cards here, you just put them to 1, and if they are not a problem, you put them to 2 and then put them to 3 like the usual deal with the TCG. The next card is Spellbook of Judgment. This card has pretty much passed its prime right now. Multi-roll is a way better Spellbook of Judgment because it's something that you can use during your own turn, during your opponent's turn. It has the effect to not interact with your opponent, and yes, Sky Striker is not relevant anymore, but still the card exists. So Spellbook of Judgment, just being able to special summon a Jogan from the deck, you would need to play cards like Battle Traps or like Phoenix Wing Windblast to protect you from a normal summon attack. And we do have cards like Impermanence, we have Dark Ruler no more. Yes, the deck has Spellbook of Wisdom to deal with that, but with just 1 Spellbook of Judgment, it's not very consistent because you have to search it and then have either a Spellbook Magician or a live Spellbook of Secrets. In order to be able to activate a few spells, you would have to play cards like Starhole, which is not very good anymore, but still you will need something to fill Spellbook of Judgment with spells so that you will be able to get to a high enough count to pretty much get for the level you need. So I think Spellbook of Judgment is not a broken card anymore. Spellbooks are not seeing any play, and even if Spellbook of Judgment was back, I doubt a lot of people would play. It could just be a deck that has a win condition, and right now it doesn't. Because right now, if you see Spellbooks, you see 3 Jowgens, and people are saying you either draw Jowgen with Power of the Guardians or a Moon Mirror, and that's it. This is not how you play Spellbooks. So at least if you gave us back Spellbook of Judgment, we would play only 1 Jowgen, and then we would actually play Spellbooks and have this win condition that we facilitated very, very easily instead of having to hard draw a Jowgen. And this is how you play Spellbooks right now. And now let's talk about a few traps. Traps are a bit easier to come off the list just because of the fact they're traps and they're very slow for the current meta. And the first one is Time Seal. Time Seal is basically Yadagarasu for 1 turn. Nobody would play Time Seal, and this is because you cannot use it turn 1. Even if you set Time Seal, you cannot activate it during your opponent's draw phase and stop them from drawing. They draw immediately because of turn mechanic, and you would have to use something like a Temple of the Kings or a Makiyora if you want to stop them from drawing the 6th card right away. And this is not an optimal play right now, because even if you do that, you're wasting a lot of resources and your opponent might already have combo with their 5 opening cards. So I don't think Time Seal is a good card, and even in the grind game, Time Seal is still not a great card because you have to wait a turn. It's technically a 1-for-1, and you have to have an established field and hope your opponent doesn't draw anything uber broken, because like I said, 1 draw usually doesn't decide duels anymore because we're not in a grindy format. format like we used to be. So Time Seal is a perfect card. The next card is Trapdoor Shoot. Trapdoor Shoot is an interesting card because there is an equivalent right now that's being played and people are calling it to be banned, and that's Smoke Grenade. Yes, Smoke Grenade needs to be banned, but Smoke Grenade is way more powerful than Trapdoor Shoot. First of all, you can trigger it on your turn very, very easily and pretty much take the best card of your opponent's hand, but it's something that is searchable because you send it with Isolde and then you equip it back with Charles. And also, Trapdoor Shoot has a weakness that Smoke Grenade doesn't. Trapdoor Shoot declares that you can only take monsters. Trapdoor Shoot is not as powerful as Smoke Grenade because Smoke Grenade can take cards like Dark Ruler no more, which is something that is why it's being played in Infernobles, because they don't lose Dark Ruler no more unless your opponent draws it as a 6th card, but Trapdoor Shoot doesn't do that. And Trapdoor Shoot is only good in the early game because once your opponent has used their hand, Trapdoor Shoot cannot be activated because your opponent has to have a lot of cards in their hand in order for Trapdoor Shoot to be activated. So either you set it and activate it turn 1 to take a monster of your opponent's hand, or it's probably dead for the rest of the duel if you are not drawing it. And without cards like Trap Trick, because it's at 1, you would not be able to access it very easily, so it would not be a problem. So I think this card can safely come back from the list very, very easily too. And the last card is Ultimate Offering. I've discussed this in a Banlist prediction, and I think Ultimate Offering is very, very healthy right now for the game. Because again, we do not care about our normal summons that much. We just special summon a lot. So decks that do have a lot of normal summons are the weaker decks, and this is what Ultimate Offering would end up being a boost for, because against like Dragon Link, you don't care if you have 10 normal summons, just special summon your entire hand. Same with Infernobles, just need 1 normal summon, get it sold, and then that's pretty much it. Same with Dinos, you just normal summon your Oviraptor and then you special summon 20 monsters. So Ultimate Offering is not a boost for meta decks, and this is why a few banned cards can safely come back from the list, because they would not boost the meta decks, they would boost weaker decks to make them have a chance of battling the meta. Ultimate Offering is still a very slow card because it's a trap card. Even if you use something to activate it on your own turn, still you need a lot of resources to do that. And Ultimate Offering is a card that helps you normal summon during your opponent's battle phase as well, but I don't see anything being too crazy to be able to summon during your opponent's battle phase, because even if you had a Christie in your hand and you would able to tribute summon it, during the battle phase, that doesn't do anything, because during the main phase 1, your opponent will have established their board, so it's not like you're stopping them from anything. So yep, I think Ultimate Offering is another card that can come back. So guys, please, if you have another suggestion about a card that could get unbanned, comment down below. I know there are a couple cards like Cyberjar that seem a little bit slow, but I think these powerful of effects can become very, very troll in a certain kind of way. Even if it's a flip monster, yeah, I think it could be a little bit problematic. But if you think any other cards should get unbanned, comment down below and discuss why you think these cards are not a problem anymore. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming videos, and we'll see you next time.